Hello everybody and welcome to Foulmouth Productions. I am your host Triggs and today I want to talk about a game called Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix. Birth by Sleep is a real-time action RPG that was developed and published by Square Enix. It was originally released on the PSP but was later released on the PS4 and Xbox One. In Birth by Sleep you have a choice of 3 characters to play as: Terra, Ventus, and Aqua. Even though you have this choice, you are still expected to play through the game with each. All 3 of them have their own story to tell from different perspectives, and until you beat the game with all of them, you will not fully understand what's happening. All 3 have different playstyles too. Terra is the physical brute fighter, Aqua is the magic-based fighter, and Ventus is the in-between of both. The story starts in a place called the Land of Departure, where Terra and Aqua are about to take the Mark of Mastery exam to become Keyblade Masters. The exam is overseen by their masters, Ericus and Xehanort. In the end, only Aqua passes the exam and becomes a Keyblade Master. Terra unfortunately ends up losing control of the darkness in his heart and doing so fails the exam. After the Mark of Mastery exam, Master Ericus receives a message about a new threat called the Unverse and the disappearance of Master Xehanort. This is when Master Ericus decides to open up what he calls the Lanes Between and assigns Terra to investigate this new threat and find Master Xehanort. Aqua is assigned the same role, along with keeping an eye on Terra in case he loses control of his darkness again. While this is all going on, Ventus meets up with a masked character who manipulates him into following Terra to the Lanes Between. This is when you get access to the Lanes Between, which is otherwise known as your world map. The layout of the world map is beyond simple and easy to get around. You'll have worlds with Disney themes to visit and more will unlock as you make your way through the story. As for the worlds themselves, they're all callbacks to well-known Disney movies. Every world plays out exactly how the movies did, with the added involvement of whichever character you are at the time. Mattering on who you are will determine at what point in the movie you will start. Every Disney-based world is also followed by its own iconic music. For the most part, I enjoyed running around and humming along to all the Disney songs, but I did start to notice most of the levels being absurdly short and empty, especially after my second playthrough. Once I had a better understanding of the game and its combat, I was able to finish most worlds in 30 minutes or less. This was around the same time that I started feeling the repetition of Birth by Sleep. It wasn't until my final playthrough with Aqua that Birth by Sleep really started feeling repetitive, which made sense since most of Aqua's levels and bosses were recycled from Terra and Ventus' playthrough. Putting that aside, Square Enix did their best to keep the worlds feeling fresh and new, even with having to revisit all 12 worlds 3 times each. That being said, Birth by Sleep does have alternative things for you to do. If you don't include collectibles, you can play Command Board, which is a lesser exciting version of Monopoly that uses your command as properties. The idea is nice and it helps with leveling up your skills without having to fight any of the unversed, but it's also based on luck. On top of that, the AI can easily ruin your game in a single turn. If that doesn't pique your interest, then you can visit Disneytown for some mini games like Fruit Ball and the Ice Cream Rhythm game, which outside of getting 100%, have no real purpose. If that doesn't work, then there is the Mirage Arena. This is actually okay. Fighting hordes of the Unverse and bosses was a fun challenge. There's a racing game in the Mirage Arena too, but it falls short like the Disneytown minigames. Even with all these additions, I would have preferred side missions breaking off from the main story, along with less worlds with more exploration, to give the game less of a linear and repetitive feeling. I don't really want to touch too much on the graphics or the voice acting, but I will say that some of the voice actors left more to be desired. The graphics and character models are more than acceptable, seeing as Birth by Sleep is a 10-year-old game and was ported from the PSP. It's impressive that it looks as good as it is. As for Birth by Sleep's combat system, it was very overwhelming. You're given a lot of tools to use in your fight against the Unverse. The overall combat itself is fun and possibly the best part of the entire game. After you make it over the learning curve of utilizing all the tools you're given, the combat only gets better. So let's briefly go over these tools. You're given a deck which is displayed in the bottom left of the screen. The deck comes with a certain number of slots that will grow as the game progresses. The slots are where you put your commands, and commands can be anything from a physical ability to a spell or an item. Commands can also be leveled up and mastered. Movement upgrades are found and unlocked throughout each character's playthrough. They vary from higher jumps, better counters, further dashing, and so on. These upgrades can also be leveled up and mastered. Shotlock commands are attacks that are different for each character. It has a lock-on system and often helps with crowd control. These can be mastered too. Command styles are a form of power-up based on what commands you use before filling up the command bar. The command bar is displayed just above your deck. Different combinations of commands will unlock different command styles. Melding allows you to take commands and put them together to make a more powerful command. At the same time, you can add an item to give the command a passive effect. If you master the command with the passive effect on it, then you get to keep the passive effect without having the command equipped. Dimension links, or D-links for short, allow you to connect to other characters that you meet throughout the story and use their commands. D-links can be mastered, and doing so can unlock very useful passives or commands. Are you confused yet? Well, so was I. I didn't really understand everything until my second playthrough. The only real issue I had with Birth by Sleep's combat was the camera control. It was especially frustrating when locking onto targets and having the camera not follow or abruptly adjust itself and make me lose where I was on the field. This made some enemies infuriating to fight. The camera issues were even worse during the harder boss fights, which were less than forgiving on a good day. On the topic of boss fights, I have to say there is no in-between for difficulty. Bosses were either unfairly difficult with stun locks and one-hit kills, or ridiculously easy to the point of being forgettable. Most enemies of Birth by Sleep were easily taken down by the smash attack strategy, but there are some who can block all attacks from the front, attack from a distance, fly away, or be completely immune to damage for a few seconds. The variety of enemies was fair enough, but some were beyond irritating with the camera issues when trying to get behind or chasing down certain types. By the time I finished Birth by Sleep, I had just over 30 hours clocked in. I found myself liking Terra's progression the most. Ventus would be next, with Aqua being my least favorite. Aqua is last only because I don't agree with how she was handled. Terra and Ventus are given more important roles that actually contribute to the story, while Aqua is left behind just trying to keep up. Terra's playthrough had him dealing with controlling the darkness in his heart while being manipulated by other forces. His personal growth and the hardships he had to come over made his playthrough one of the more interesting ones to do. Ventus wasn't so lucky. The majority of Ventus's playthrough is about him chasing Terra from world to world while trying to make friends. His role in the game is very important, but isn't revealed until 3/4 into his playthrough. And finally, Aqua. Similar to Ventus, her playthrough was boiled down to chasing Terra and Ventus from world to world, trying to get them back to the land of departure. Her true purpose in the story doesn't even take place until the very end of her playthrough, after the final boss fight. They do expand on this, but it's locked behind the final episode and the secret episode, which I found to be a poor choice. I liked Aqua, and I wanted her to have a bigger part in the overall game. In the end, I really enjoyed Birth by Sleep. The Kingdom Hearts lore has me drawn in, wanting to know what happens next. The combat is fun and exciting, the characters are likable, and you sympathize for them. The story can be a little confusing, but that is to be expected with a game that's spread over a series of 10 or more games. If you haven't played Birth by Sleep, then I highly recommend you do. And there you have it, my opinion on Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep Final Mix. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this and want to see more, make sure to check out my last video on Ever Forward and click that subscribe button. If you want to see more of me, then head over to Twitch where I stream Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Link will be in the description. Thanks again for watching, and I hope to see you soon.